Hi, I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Amber Churchwell.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome back to our channel, or welcome. If you are new, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button down below. We are on the road to 500, currently at 446. So, hey, we're getting increasing numbers. That's awesome. I am joined by the lovely Amber, as you can see. Thank you, Amber, for joining me today to talk about episodes 4 and 5 of the final season of The Handmaid's Tale, which are entitled Promotion and Janine. We're going to first talk about Promotion. And I can't speak for you, but I kind of feel like maybe you and I will agree that there wasn't a whole heck of a lot going on in Promotion. I mean, I understand that they got to drive the story and you know, kind of set things up for what I would guess is a big plan, right? But overall, what were your thoughts on episode 4 that is entitled Promotion?
I saw a lot of posts saying that this was a filler, and I kind of agreed. I know it's setting things in place and stuff, but this is the final season. Every episode and every single minute counts. And so I felt like the back and forth between June and Moira and all of them, and like her wanting to do the plan and then going to the command, like whoever is the leader position lady in Mayday, like going to them and then back and forth, and then having the fight with Moira, having the fight with her husband, and having the fight like with them together. And it's just like, this could have all just been done in one scene.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Time is of the essence, guys. But
yeah, I would agree to it being like a filler type episode. It just, I really try not to be on my phone when I'm watching these shows, especially shows that I have loved from the beginning, if you will, even if I was a late bloomer. However, this episode just could not hold my attention, truly. And it's a bummer, but the key takeaways from this episode are the fact that Mayday, they're ready to go to war with Gilead. And for June, you know, she has a lot of experience fighting Gilead, and she's looking out for Luke and Moira and not wanting them to be caught in any crossfires, what have you, right? For Commander Lawrence, he's actually being promoted to High Commander, which very interesting. We're going to definitely have some discussion about one commander in particular. That's just even in the episode that follows, I was like, wow, this guy looks like a political figure from this country. Kind of baffles me. And we also learn of an unexpected reunion with Janine, with Commander Lawrence, right? They had a falling out, if you will. And then Rita actually got a little bit more screen time for her story in this episode. I was a little surprised. And I definitely want to talk about her and her choices. And then also with Commander Wharton, he's becoming a little bit more forthcoming with his intentions with Serena, if you will, right? So those are the main takeaways. What's that?
One way to say it.
Well, that's one way to say it. Yeah, for sure. So let's get into episode 4 entitled Promotion. This was kind of more of like a Luke kind of centric. Now, I won't say Luke centric, but he definitely wants to have some sort of involvement in trying to get Hannah back, right? That much is said towards the end of this episode. For you, Amber, what did you take away from Luke in his making of the plans and having a square off with June? What did you make of all that?
I was kind of fed up with it. I mean, I don't want to like drag on Luke. I know a lot of people don't like him, and I know a lot of people do like him, but I don't really have an opinion of him. I think he is unwilling to listen to June when she tries to tell him how Gilead is. And then he goes in there and it gets all fucked up. And she ends up having to save him. And every single time, it's just like if he had listened to her, even just like listen to her try to explain how Gilead is instead of just being like, no, 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 no. Like, I think he would have just done a little bit better. But, and I get it, he wants to save Hannah and stuff like that, but it's just, dude, this is a lot. She's had several successful involvements with and against Gilead. I think her opinion and stance on this is valuable. And him disregarding it just because I want to be the man and I want to be the hero here was really annoying. And he could have done it and gone in it in a completely different way. I completely understand how he wants to be involved since he picked the locations, he made the bombs, as he said.
Yes.
But so do dozens of other people who are a lot more qualified. I hate to say it, Luke. Like, I was just frustrated. And again, from what I've seen, a lot of people are too. We're just, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
We can obviously see the struggle that is between Luke and June. I mean, and it's been like that since she returned from Gilead to Canada before they virtually got kicked out of Canada, if you will. We know Luke is trying to do the manly thing, if you will, which whatever. Like, I don't necessarily believe in these stereotypes that the man has to be the one to save the day, or, the woman has to be the one. It's whatever fits the person and the situation at hand. But for Luke, he feels like he hasn't done enough to try to help the cause, to try to get Hannah back. And by ignoring, fair, but by ignoring June's insight of Gilead, and I was, rewatching the episode earlier, her talking about how organized the military, if you will, with Gilead is, with the eyes, with the guardians, with all these people. They are ready, if you will. They are ready to fight. And Mayday are just a militia born of people who share a common interest as well, but they are not trained. They are not well versed with what's going on inside Gilead. And so for June to say to these people, hey, you guys aren't ready for any of this shit. Like, this is going to blow up in your face. And then learning too, and of course I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but learning too that the plan that Mayday has developed with Luke involves Jezebels. Jezebels, we know, house a lot of these former handmaids who are just there to pleasure these commanders. And for Mayday, this like, well, they're going to be collateral damage. That doesn't set well with June at all. Like,
and a lot of the people, like when she started bringing it up, sorry to interrupt, but like the second that she started bringing it up, other people in the crowd of Mayday started asking other questions, and like that is showing that only a few people are making the decisions here, which kind of is what messed you guys up to begin with. Like, I think you guys all need to be unanimous in agreement here. And yeah, you guys are a small little rebellion, but communication and agreement on that is key here. Unity is key there. And I feel like Mayday was just kind of haphazard here.
Mm-hmm. And considering too that Moira volunteered to go into Jezebel's, and rightfully so, I feel, because she is the most well versed with Jezebel's because of her time there. She knows the ins and outs, and she, but things have changed, I would imagine, since her departure from Jezebel's, let alone Gilead. So I admire her wanting to step in, play a part in this whole thing. However, for June to be concerned for the well-being of her best friend who endured so much trauma in Jezebel's, to send her back into the place that is so triggering, is she going to be able to follow through with the plan? And these are very valid concerns. These are very valid points that could jeopardize the big plan. And by the big plan, Luke wants to plant bombs along this new route that is poorly secured, if you will. And they're basically going to plant these bombs in Jezebel's, where the high commanders all meet, because even though they're supposedly pious and righteous and living in this Christian sort of nation, what have you, they have their vices. They need to get some without question. And that is Jezebel's, people. It is truly sickening. Truly, truly sickening. So that is the plan that we're talking about. That's the plan that Luke has set forth, wants to see it through. Moira is going to apparently take a small role in this whole gesture, but June is arguing it. She's like, you guys don't know what you're in for. Trust me. Like, I have fought them numerous times. And yes, to your point, she has been successful, but it hasn't been easy. Like, she has suffered greatly.
Yeah. But I also think that her point, it was a little bit, I think Moira even used the word infantilizing about how she just automatically assumed that Moira was going to be more triggered than responsive in there. I do kind of agree with that, but she has kind of done that sort of thing before. Like, whenever a situation was high key and really stressful like that, she has panicked and she has had a reaction like that, while June has, unfortunately, due to her immense amount of trauma, remained calm, remained on track. And also we later do see with Luke, he doesn't know how to handle it, and he doesn't know how to respond, doesn't know how to react. So she's right. In the end, she is right. And I do agree that it was a little infantilizing to Moira, but Moira should have a little bit of self-awareness in that. Like, hey, I don't feel, if I'm this stressed out just planning to go back, I probably shouldn't go back.
And to that point, I'm not going to really talk too much into episode 5, which is entitled Janine, because during the making of this plan, they discover who the girls are of Jezebel's, and Janine is one of them. But there's a point that Moira says to June inside Jezebel's when they're in the hotel room, whatever, that Moira is just sick and tired of June and her bullshit. She's like, oh, it's all about you. Everything's about you. I don't get to have PTSD. I don't get to have, to deal with my trauma. And it's like, June was literally looking out for you with your trauma and your mental health. And now you're bitching about it. I'm like, come on. Like, let's.
Exactly.
You can't have it both ways. Like, seriously. I can admire someone who wants to confront their demons, go back to the place that traumatized them the most, and try to change the narrative for themselves, but then to be in that environment and then be like, well, I can't go through anything. I have to be strong. And it's like, yeah.
Especially when
you volunteered.
Yeah, you're going here to face your demons and whatever. I can admire that. But there are hundreds of people's lives at stake. You guys 100%. Are on a very serious mission. Hundreds 100%. Of people's lives are at stake. That cannot be jeopardized because of your responses to things. And as much as I respect their trauma, mm-hmm. It was kind of messed up for her to go begin with. Like, I just don't I think June had a very valid point, and it was proven correct. I don't think that she should have gone, but
and June did try to prevent that. She did try to go to Mayday's commander. I don't know the woman's name, but she did try to say, hey, I'll go instead of Moira. Moira hasn't been there in some time. Like, I've been there before. I know the ins and outs as well. Things have changed. Like, you can't send her back because of her mental health, basically. And again, valid points. I didn't take it so much as, well, June just wants to be the one and the only one to fight, right? It didn't occur to me that wasn't the point of it at all. It was, she genuinely is concerned for her loved ones, right? Because with Luke, Luke was going to be put on trial for the death of that Canadian. Mark Twello in the beginning of this episode says, hey, everything's been dismissed. because of the intel that you provided to the Canadians. You know, they want the commanders gone just as much as we do. So you're free. You're free to go. You're going to be deported. Yay! This is the one and only time I will say that being deported is a good thing in this particular scenario. Don't come at me, people. But June was like, hey, that's great news. We're going to go to Alaska. Nicole's getting so big. You're going to get to see my mom. Like, you know, we're going to be a family. And Luke's like, yeah, so I started this plan and I'm going to see it through. What?
Well, he's always kind of done whatever he wanted to do. I mean, we got to remember that June was the other woman. He was married. He's just kind of going to do whatever he wants to do.
Valid.
Like, because he's valid. Just, yeah, like I again, I never really had serious thoughts about him. Honestly, in the first couple of seasons before we really like got back to him, I kind of forgot he existed. But the fact that he just continuously does this and behaves like this, I'm just kind of frustrated. I'm getting more and more frustrated, so that like before where I didn't really have a solid opinion of him, I just didn't care either way. Now I'm getting more irritated. I'm like, okay, the people who are annoyed with him, I understand it now, because this just keeps happening.
Yeah. I mean, this results into a big blow up between, you know, these June, Moira, and Luke. Moira basically says, listen, I'm going to Jezebel's. You can either come with me or not. Like, that's all there is to it. Or don't come. You know what? Don't come. Basically, is kind of what she got at. But then with Luke, it's something different. Of course, they are still married. They do love each other. They, in a way, make up. June is warning him not to get his hopes up because she has experienced how close it is to have gotten Hannah back. And then many times it's just been ripped away from her. And she doesn't want him to suffer that same experience, right? And so she's like, let's just, you know, she does admit that she doesn't necessarily want to go to Alaska because the family is never going to be whole until Hannah is back. And so I was like, okay, like, you're so back and forth. And it was just very annoying to me. I don't know how that was for you personally. But you know, they cry, they say, I love you. They basically agree that they're going to fight together as family to save their family, their entire family.
Mm-hmm.
Black screen. I was just like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm just, okay. I was like, this was just annoying. Go ahead.
No, it is annoying. It's just frustrating, and it just keeps going. Like, he just keeps trying to get involved when he doesn't need to be getting involved.
Agreed.
And like, that wasn't really necessary. Again, they could have done Canada and stuff like that. And yes, they could have helped, or they could have at least. Mayday is going to continue doing whatever they're doing with or without them. So why are they kind of disregarding that only I have to physically be there in order for Hannah to get out? Like, I mean, feel like you guys being alive is also kind of vital.
True.
Especially for Nicole and Hannah. Like, you need to be alive for that. And just risking absolutely everything every single time is not conductive or safe for you guys and the future of your daughters, whichever country they're in. And it's just kind of frustrating because you can't. We find like June was finally safe in Alaska with Nicole and Holly, and that's amazing and wonderful and great. But that happiness can't last because of Luke staying there and Moira staying there. And I understand that, especially because you want everybody to be together. I completely understand that. But the fact that she has to come and rescue you guys and leaves Nicole. So, like, Nicole's, like, yeah, she's safe and happy with Holly, but, like, It's not. You guys are just basically like digging yourself into one hole and then just jumping into another hole.
They're being petulant children.
Yes.
That's the best way I could describe it at this point. Especially with Luke and that blowout of like, this is my chance to save Hannah. And it's like, okay. I mean,
yeah, that's such a boy thing to say.
It's such a very petulant child thing to say. I'm going to just kind of overall blanket that because everyone is having those moments. I mean, Moira too. You can either come with me or you don't kind of situation.
Yeah, and I mean,
I'm still going to do whatever I want to do.
Perfect. June's not perfect. I'm not saying June is perfect and she's making all of the right decisions because she's not. But she's making better ones. I can't. I don't know. They're all, you're right. They're all being children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really frustrating, especially, like I said, I feel like a lot of those conversations could have been hashed out all at once.
I agree. And I think it was dragged out for sure.
It really did. It felt, and also, I mean, even we haven't talked about the rest of this episode, but just because this was sprinkled in, like I said, throughout multiple scenes throughout the entire episode. So this is just one aspect of the episode. We haven't talked about anything going on with New Bethlehem, but we will. But that is it. That's it. It's just for this episode, the promotion, it is just drama.
Well, let's continue talking about that drama. Let's focus on Commander Lawrence. As I mentioned, that he is being promoted to High Commander Lawrence, right? And as he's preparing for this big honor, if you will, Naomi, his new wife, is trying to comfort him. She tries to go in for a kiss, and he's like, no. He's not into it. I mean, obviously, he's only married to her just for appearances, but he still very much loves his real wife, as he says to little Angela, who had presented him with a little drawing that impresses him. Honestly, what did you think of the little snippets that we got of him with Angela? Because at the end of this episode too, we see him reading, I believe it's The Little Princess to Angela, and she just kind of like looks at him and listens, and she kind of leans in on him like she's enjoying this quality time between daughter and new daddy, if you will. What did you make of that dynamic?
I liked it, and I know a lot of people are theorizing because of his interactions with Angela and his interactions with Janine throughout both of these episodes. Like a huge big old theory is that he's going to end up helping them to get out and to get to be together. But we can't obviously predict that, but I thought it was nice, and I thought it was sweet seeing him together. Honestly, I had the exact same reaction anytime a child brings me anything. Is it sticky? Like, I have the exact same reaction to everything. Like, is it sticky?
John does too, and he's a teacher, so valid. Yeah. No, I thought their little dynamic and little moments together were very, very sweet. But staying focused on Commander Lawrence, he is also expected to do the things that the high commanders do. That includes taking a trip down to Jezebel's, because that's not creepy at all, right? So with that being
just expecting you to expect you to have the wife, expects you to go and hook up with hookers, expects you to, God, man, Smith suck.
Well, one man that does absolutely suck is Commander Bell. Commander Bell, I believe, is new to this season. And honestly, Amber, the first time I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, is that JD Vance?
That's not the first time I've heard that. But also, I'm really bad at facial recognition, so genuinely, I can't tell you what the actual person looks like, so I can't tell the difference. So I'm like, I guess looks like that guy.
He, to me, really honestly did, and I was like, is this done intentionally or not? Because it just, I was tickled by the whole idea. But
might have been.
Commander Bell has taken a great interest in both humiliating and abusing Janine, who is the former handmaid to the Putnams, as well as Commander Lawrence for a very brief, well, not even officially posted, but Commander Bell is absolutely just disgusting. And how he treats Janine, calls her kitty, and all that stuff. I mean, I know they adopt new names as a Jezebel, but for Lawrence to take part in this side of being a high commander, enjoying the fruits of his labors, as they put it, you can visibly see that Lawrence is very uncomfortable with everything. And when he is offered to have his way with Janine, if you will, he does take the opportunity to leave with her. And there's the cheering from the commanders, whatever, just typical. But he does not do anything with Janine. They do end up just talking. He shares with her that Angela, her daughter, is doing just fine. She's like, well, what? She's mad at him for where she is. And he points out to her, well, with your track record, you could have either died a slow death in the colonies or you could have died quickly on the wall. Which neither are good options, honestly. But the fact that he is kind of in his own weird way, like trying to, I won't say justify things for her better than what they could have been, but he does at least give her the little drawing from Angela.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very nice. It kind of gives her a little.
But like he said, it gives her, it shows her the reason that she has to live.
Exactly. She obviously is being taken care of by Naomi, and Janine now selects the hard question. What's life going to be like for Angela when she's older? And Lawrence says he'll do everything that he can to protect her from the world that he's created, which is women oppression. Let's just call it what it is.
So, she calls him out on it. She's like, even Commander's daughter, still have trouble. Like, it's not safe for them either.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, at least it was kind of reassuring for Janine, but it's still not a great fate that she's been given, albeit a little reassurance that her daughter is okay for right now, the time being.
For right now,
yeah.
But
go ahead.
I thought it was interesting, and we do see it happen twice in this episode and the next episode, Janine, and I think it was good to show that, and I think his kindness to her by giving her the drawing is actually what had her in the next episode show him the little peephole thing so he could hear what the other commanders were plotting.
Yep, for sure.
It was definitely like okay, hey, you did me a solid, here's yours.
Yeah.
I think it was intentionally for that. And I think it was really, really interesting that they did that. I just, I would like to see more of it. And I do have a lot of feelings with, the fact that he was shown having a bit of a fondness for Angela, even just directly to her by saying, my real wife would have liked this. That's fondness. And I don't think because she's a little tiny toddler. I don't think she's going to really remember that.
No.
And he's not being watched at the moment until Naomi comes in. So it's I genuinely think that was genuine of him to have that reaction with her. And later on, reading The Little Princess, I thought that was very kind of a sweet way to show that he does actually have sympathy for this girl. And because based off of his reaction with Janine, he has sympathy for his mother. I don't think people are crazy for thinking he's going to try and get them out, but knowing his character, I don't really think he will, but I also don't think I don't think he would plan it, but I don't think he'd stop it.
Okay. The other side of it, because it appears he's building some sort of affection towards Angela, could he maybe not find a reason, but just say, you know what? I like this kid. Like I want her to stay with me and now my new family. You know what I mean? Like because that's Naomi's daughter for all intents and purposes. And she probably won't go down without a fight with regards to Angela, right? We saw how she behaved towards Janine, who birthed Angela, and just, she just thinks that handmaids are property and that they only serve one purpose, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just curious if maybe Lawrence will be like, you know what? I want to keep this girl. I'm not going to try to help her and her biological mother get out of this country. You know what I mean? Like I'm really curious if that could change in the long run. But we will have to just wait and see. Let's shift to New Bethlehem. Amber, let's talk about how Serena and Commander Wharton are becoming a little bit more better acquainted, right? They share a piece of pie that Serena brought for Rose, and they have like
talks about families.
Yeah, they talk about families. Like tell us what was happening with these two.
Well, he was returning home because he doesn't abide in Jezebel's. So, which he, like some of the other commanders, like especially the Commander Bell, was kind of like raising an eyebrow at, but he's like, your dad does it a lot, dude, calm down. Like and he called it for what it is. He's just like, I don't really like to do those I don't like to do that kind of sins or whatever, which is just like, yeah, call it what it is. And I kind of do appreciate that he got Nick out of that situation, because I don't think Nick would have been chill if he saw June. But anyway, it's a whole. Anyway, he gets home and he runs into Serena because she was bringing over a pie because Rose was saying that she's craving sweets. And Rose is resting, but he's like, I'll have a pie with you, because he's trying to hit her up. And he gives this whole story about how he's not used to the Marthas. He's used to serving himself and making food for himself, and he even taught Rose how to cook. Serena admits that she can't cook, and honestly, same girl, I can't. I could burn air. I get it completely. So so she kind of jokes about that, and they, have some light little banter here and there. I didn't really think it was flirting. I thought it was just talking, and then the next episode proved me wrong, but I suck at that, I guess. Anyway, they were talking about families and like how her father raised her, because she compliments how he was with Rose, and he says that they always wanted, him and his previous deceased wife wanted up to like 5 children and things, and they just got Rose, and they were just continuing talking and things like that, and
we don't really know. Oh, sorry. We don't really know what happened to Commander Wharton's first wife. Presumably, she became ill and succumbed to her illness. And we know Rose has some kind of handicap, if you will. She walks around with a cane. Don't know if that's because of the environment that was previous to Gilead. I don't remember if she was born in Gilead or not. I don't know the timeline.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was probably pre Gilead. But yeah, you're starting to see more so Commander Wharton's intentions with Serena. She does have like this conversation with him about what New Bethlehem could be, and he has some doubts about the reformed Gilead, but he is definitely far less interested in the ruling versus trying to court her. And I think she's kind of like relishing it a little bit, because it's been some time since, I guess, she's been sought after, other than, the late Fred Waterford. I mean, it's like, you deserve happiness. No.
I just felt like she was doing a lot of, I feel like Commander Wharton is playing her, like, obviously, and she folded like a fiddle. Like, fold like a fiddle, that's not a saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like she just felt way too easily into whatever he's planning.
Is it realistic too of how quickly all that happened? Honestly, I mean, like you posed that question. He later, I think, confesses to her on their walk home. Like, I guess he was like walking her home or something like that. He confessed to her that he saw her at like a gala in DC one time and that he was just absolutely smitten by her. He prayed that, to God for forgiveness for having coveted another man's wife and what have you. And, she's kind of like tickled or just pleased by all of this, I guess I should say. And he virtually is like sweeping her off her feet because he invites her to dance on the streets of New Bethlehem. And there's like this glow and like the turned down lights, the street lamps. And, it's like, oh my God, this is like giving the Notebook vibes when Noah and Allie are dancing in the middle of the street and what have you. That doesn't last long, people, because they are going to be interrupted with an unexpected blessed evening from Aunt Lydia lurking in the shadows.
That honestly cracked me up because, like, I can't imagine how awkward that was, and it was awkward. I mean, Serena was like, "Oh," it was weird.
Incredibly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a little too obvious that they are going. That I don't know. Like, I feel like the story was kind of staged. Like, I don't like him seeing her at the gala and coveting another man's wife and stuff like that. Like, I feel like that's like weirdly, and it's gonna be weird to say it, I feel like that is Gilead's sexy talk. Like,
yes, I can see that.
coveted another man's wife. Like, dude.
Oh, I'm full of sin too. Like, bad commander. Bad commander.
Yeah, it was so weird. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, like, and then we do see, like, in the next episode, once we get there, I'm not jumping ahead, but
yeah,
I think she just folded too quickly, and a lot of people were saying that, like, again, I'm like deep into theory things because I love theories and I love people. Like, the second I finish a show or an episode of something I enjoy, I'm immediately looking at people's responses and theories and things. And the response to that is, like, some people think that he killed his previous wife and that he's literally just like trying to get with Serena to silence her.
Oh my God. Is he like a serial killer of some kind? Oh Lord. Talk about like a You crossover, which, by the way, people, we will be covering the final season of You in the coming days. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell. That way you can join us for that live stream. Shameless plug-in. Back to The Handmaid's Tale. I'm going to pose a question, Amber, to you when we discuss episode 5 regarding the situation with Serena Joy and Gabriel Wharton. I think it's a very important question to ask, and we will get there shortly. Let's talk about Rita. Rita has not had a lot of screen time really since they came to Canada. Like, the lot of them came to Canada, right? She is on her way on a bus to New Bethlehem, where she is greeted by a very ecstatic Serena Joy, which, by the way, as I'm like looking at my new Tumblr here, I don't know if you can kind of see it here, but it's kind of the same color as what Serena is now wearing, which is very interesting. Oh, look, you're supporting Serena. Look at you.
All right. It's just my favorite color.
I feel you. Totally feel you. But anyway, Rita.
Yeah, I consider this purple, but apparently it's mauve.
it's like a mauve. Yeah, I can see that. But anyway, Rita is greeted by Serena Joy, who apparently helped make the arrangements happen for Rita to come out to New Bethlehem so that she could ultimately be reunited with her sister Gina. This is the first that we've gotten to see Gina. Apologies were said, I love yous were said, that kind of thing. And the whole idea is with New Bethlehem is welcoming back people who have left Gilead so that they could be reunited with their families, so that they could live in a life very different from Gilead without all the problems that lie within Gilead. And so Rita, having been reunited with her sister, got the wheels turning. She eventually meets up with Nick later at his home because remember, they two worked in the Waterford's house, right? Nick the driver and Rita was Martha. They were friendly with one another. I think it's safe to say. But Nick has now become a commander. He's married. He's expecting another baby. She's asking him, hey, like, is this place too good to be true or is this legit? And he's like, it's my job to make sure it's legit. And very quickly, Amber, she's like, okay, I'll stay. I'll move here. What did you make of Rita folding like that? And I think it's a good adjective or verb to, to use because, I mean, she had already told Moira, Luke, and I guess June, I don't remember specifically, but she told them, hey, I'm thinking about going to New Bethlehem. And it's like, no, why would you do that? Like, why would you go back? Like, this is like a trap. This is not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
What did you
You're
make
falling for it.
Exactly. What did you make of Rita actually verbalizing out loud?
I threw my hands up in the air. I was so done. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, Rita, girl. Like, it frustrated me because that's exactly what they're there for. And honestly, like, as much as we do like all that Nick does for June, that's exactly the point for June. I wouldn't put him past lying to her. Like, I don't want him to be, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be lying to her, but that is the whole incentive behind New Bethlehem, is to get people to come back.
Right. And
you're falling for it, lady. Like, that's the entire point. So her questions, she only asked, what, 3 questions? No, I would have like a little pamphlet. Like, what position am I going to be expected to do? How will my life be? Like, how will I be getting my basic necessities? What will my rights be? All of these different things that she just didn't even bother with, just because they literally dangled a carrot in front of her and she just chomped on it. Like, I can't. It was frustrating and a bit of a letdown, but I mean, I knew it was going to happen the moment that I think June was already heading to Alaska when she said that. She was interested in looking at New Bethlehem. So I think she just said that to Luke and Moira. But
yeah.
The second she even said that, and because I just worry about her. I worry about her, but I worry about everybody here. But
I feel there's going to be more, what do you call them? Bait and switches with multiple characters, not just one in particular that I'll question about later. But I feel like with Rita, because she appears to have so much faith and so much hope, she's going to be one of the first people to get burned, and not saying that she hasn't gotten her hands dirty in some kind of way. I just don't feel that her character exhibits the same sort of grit and baring teeth that June and others have shown, right? I feel she will be collateral damage.
Well, if you go with the flow too much, you'll just be carried away by the current.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, with the promise of her hopefully being reunited with her family in a year or 2 time, yes, she is going to indefinitely stay in New Bethlehem. And with that, we're going to wrap up the recap for episode 4. Amber, was there anything else that you wanted to discuss that we might have missed out on? Nope.
No.
Okay, let's
Again,
move
it was
on.
a filler episode.
I agree. I felt like it was book 4 of ACOTAR. It was the novella that no one needed.
Yeah, genuinely, I read it last.
Ugh,
I didn't even read it in order. I didn't even read ACOTAR in order.
I should have done the same.
Yeah, because it's like a beach episode in a rom-com. Like
yeah, I can see that.
We don't need this. This is just extra content.
Exactly. Well, let's get into more content. Let's talk about episode 5, entitled Janine. And when I first saw this title, I was like, oh no. Like, oh no. Like, are we going to lose Janine in this episode? Spoiler, everyone. As of right now, she's still good. She's still with us, hopefully. I'm like very surprised with her composure throughout this episode. But let's get to the key points of this episode. June and Moira are infiltrating Jezebel's. They're dressed as Martha's. And things go south pretty quickly because of one disgusting guardian who deservedly died. Spoiler. Commander Lawrence learns that his fellow commanders actually don't support New Bethlehem at all.
What?
Shocking, I know.
No way.
And there's talk of what they're going to do with him and whether or not he's going to stay alive. Shocking, once again. And then Nick, our boy Nick, learns that one of the guardians that he thought he executed in No Man's Land is clinging on to dear life and may regain consciousness. So, with that being said, we're going to start with Moira and June making their way with Luke and Mayday to get back into Gilead to drop off these bombs, drop off these things, infiltrate Jezebel's, as we said. And so their mission is to at least locate Janine, let her know about the plan, try to prepare the other girls for in a week's time when this whole thing's supposed to literally blow up, that they are going to get themselves out. What did you think of Janine throughout this episode? Like I mentioned, her composure. I was a little surprised with her composure because in previous seasons, she was very brainwashed to a degree. Of course, the abuse does not help, right? And she just kind of was very childlike in a way. Just, just now it seems like she's just grown and she is with it. She's not about that bullshit anymore, especially when we saw her with Aunt Lydia, how Aunt Lydia was like, I was told that you would be rewarded for your services. And she's like, they lied to you, you dumb bitch, basically is what she wanted to say. I was going to say something else, but then I realized I'm on the live stream. But Janine has gotten thicker skin and is not about that life anymore. Again, what were your thoughts about Janine throughout this episode?
I've always liked Janine, even when she's been airy and odd. And I mean, there was a theory a long, long time ago when she first got her eye pulled out that they lobotomized her with it. And I mean, with her being so childlike and a little ditzy, I guess, was kind of like, I could see that. I don't think they would, because they would have said something by now. But this kind of shows that that didn't happen, obviously. She's just like, I think she's finally been disillusioned because, I mean, this girl, she was able to escape, but then they got caught again. She was sent to the colonies and then brought back again. She was put back with Naomi for like 5 seconds, and then that obviously didn't go well again. And like just going with Aunt Lydia, and that still doesn't go well. Like she just keeps going back and forth, and I think it was finally the last straw. Like she needed this. This was her breaking point, and I think she's beyond that now. And I've always liked her as a character, so I'm actually really, really. I was terrified, like you were seeing the title. I was so worried, and genuinely I'm still worried for her, considering they said like, oh, we're coming, because they wanted to get her out right then and there, and she said, no, I have to warn the other girls and get everything ready, and also it's just a week. That saying just a week is what it like triggered me. I'm like, no,
Yes.
a lot can happen in a week.
Yes.
And I'm real worried, and I mean, she has a lot thicker skin, like you said, and she has shown that she's changed, and she's upfront with Lawrence too. Like, hey, you're not a good guy. I mean, you're better than them, but you're not a good person.
Yeah.
And I think she kind of now is realizing, like, I'm done, dude. Like, I can say what I want to these people, like Lydia and Lawrence, because I don't think she cares anymore.
No.
It's not even necessarily a death wish, but more of the fact that you guys have already done the worst to me. The next thing you can do is kill me. Yeah. And I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I was a bit surprised. So with June and Moira, they're making their way through the halls and such of Jezebel's. They trick one of the aunts to, as to what they're doing. They trick another guardian to letting them into the penthouse to pretend like they're cleaning, so it's ready to go when the commanders show up. And it was in that moment when they are tidying up that Janine comes into the room with the other girls, and they're singing, and Janine catches sight of June and didn't react in the way that former Janine would have reacted, right? Former Janine would have been like, oh my God, like, what are you doing here? Like, oh, I mean, she read the room. She read the room. She approached June with something. She grabbed something and approached June and asked, are you guys Martha's now? No, we're Mayday. It's like, are you here to get us out? Yes. So, I mean,
we call this growth.
Straight to the point. No bullshit. She realizes she can't talk to them, of course, and tells them, hey, go to this room. Here's the card. I'll meet you there as soon as I can. And I'm like, wow, like former Janine would not have ever done those type of things. But she's grown, as we said. She's learned a thing or two, most likely from June. And the reason that, let me also put this in there, the reason that June was so hell-bent on going to Jezebel's with Moira, or in lieu of Moira, was because she felt responsible for what had happened to Janine in Chicago when she left her in Chicago, when Janine was recaptured to go back to Gilead and June got out because Moira came in and helped save her, right? So for June to say that, she's like a little sister to me, like I feel responsible for her. I need to right my wrongs, basically. But then also hopefully for June to see that Janine is able to hold her own. She's not that scared girl anymore. She's not that naive girl anymore. She
can be your little sister, but she's still an adult. She's not a child.
Yes. She doesn't need rescuing to a degree. She is able to think and act and play the long game, if you will, hopefully. Mm-hmm. I'm still genuinely concerned about Janine, because just those little hints here and there just gets me concerned. Janine, as we mentioned earlier, goes away with Lawrence away from the commanders after Belle doesn't like how Janine's acting towards Lawrence, right? She's being like, is there anything I can do for you? And she's like touching his face and giving him a drink. And Belle's like, get in that corner on your knees. You're gonna get the belt.
He said eyes to the wall, which is a little insensitive.
Eyes to the wall.
Girl only has one eye.
Oh God, yes, you're right.
Like, bro.
I hadn't caught that until you just said that. Yeah, but Lawrence puts Belle in his place. He's like, no one fucking likes you. You're fucking disgusting. You're not here because you have brains or something to offer. Like, you're just here because of daddy. And that's all there is to it. To which Janine will then say to Lawrence, like, you're not a good guy. You're better in comparison to these guys. Yeah. Shows him the little peephole so that Lawrence can listen to what the other commanders have to say. But they obviously are not in favor of Lawrence. Go ahead.
No, because that like really shows that he really thought that he was in such a good spot. Like, I just got promoted. I can get away with so much stuff now. I can get away with talking to this kid. Like, I mean, I'm very, very glad he put him in his place, but that's gonna bite you in the ass. Like, Lawrence, you're usually playing like 40 chess, dude. What's happening? Like, why?
Yeah.
I feel like it's really odd and not really in line with his character that he was so blindsided by this.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
it doesn't track.
it doesn't, but at the same time, I can see how being promoted to a high commander and on the same level as everyone else, he's like, I've really won their support. I've really won their favor. And why they would have elevated him to such a status to then ultimately say, well, no, now I understand why as I'm thinking about it. They're basically going to blame him for like this coup of some kind.
Yeah.
Because Lawrence thinks that New Bethlehem is going to take a couple of years to grow and to just develop into the thing that he wants it to be. And the other commanders are like, yeah, send me paperwork and, we'll figure it out. We'll discuss it. Well, Bell wants Lawrence on the wall because he's embarrassed him, hurt his feelings, if you will.
Hey,
And
man.
yeah. And these other commanders are just like, yeah, we're just going to put the blame on Lawrence. We're going to just say, yeah, he staged this coup and we're going to get him killed. Basically, that's what we're going to do. And he's kind of beside himself, I think, at this point, especially he will leave Jezebel's, but we're not going to talk about that just quite yet. We'll get back to that momentarily.
Yeah, we gotta go for a full circle here.
We have to go full circle. You're correct. And forgive me if I'm just going to kind of jump around back and forth. Let's talk about Nick for a moment.
Sure.
Before we go back to Jezebel's to talk about the other things that happen. Nick learns from his father-in-law that the one guardian that was left for dead in no man's land is clinging on for his life. He is regaining consciousness, and Nick has to go investigate, right? He goes to the hospital, speaks with the guardian's mother, who's so grateful. We're so honored to have you here. He so loves being a guardian, and he looks up to people like you, blah, 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 blah. Please promise that you're going to find out who did this to him. And Nick's like, I promise. Here I am. Kind of situation, which is so silly.
Yeah.
Were you at all surprised that after Nick speaks with Toby, his heart elevated, you can hear the heart monitor beeping faster, but he's like, where's my dog? Where's my dog? Appears to have no recollection of who Nick may be.
I
Nick
think he was
walks away.
trying to lie, but that heart monitor don't lie.
Okay, so that was really interesting that you say that. So, do you think that if it was genuine, great, but Nick turns around after he walks out of the room, closes the door, presumably he's doing the worst, right? He's ending Toby's life. Now, do you think Nick was fooled, or do you think Nick is just taking precautions to make sure that this boy does not out him as the shooter?
I think Nick was smart enough to realize the heart monitor was still going crazy. I don't think he was fooled by the dog thing. I wasn't fooled by the dog thing.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it takes a genius to not, like, the guy's literally set up to a heart monitor. Like, if he wasn't set up to a heart monitor, maybe it could have flown, but the fact that his heart rate elevated so much once he saw clearly that who it was in front of him, no. Like, the kid could have said literally anything, and regardless, that monitor is not going to lie.
That's true. It's a good point. Something I also had not considered. This is why I enjoy doing these podcast reviews, because we're getting different POVs and learning some new theories, I guess you could say. So yeah, Nick closes the door. I have no idea how he could end Toby's life unless it's suffocation. Hopefully, he's smart enough to detach the heart monitor from Toby before he, let's say, suffocates him. I don't know if he'll shoot him up with, some kind of medication that's not meant for him.
Air.
Who knows? Air. The air will work too. You're right. Air directly to the veins will do it. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If he already has like things in his veins, just put air and you could kill him. Or, I mean, don't ask why I know this. Or the suffocation could work, but again, you would have to like deal with the heart monitor and stuff like that because that would set alarms off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. Do you think Nick perhaps enjoys killing people?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of assume, yeah. Well, I don't think he necessarily I don't think he enjoys it in the way that he's going to seek it out.
Okay.
I think he's more just like, I'm not bothered by this. And I think he enjoys, okay, how am I going to word this? I think he enjoys the power of getting away with it, not necessarily doing it. If that makes sense. Like, it's the fact of he's like, oh, this is something terrible that I can get away with.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just that aspect more than the actual fact that it's killing, because he could do other things too, but he's a commander, he can get away with it. That's literally like why when he was talking to Rita, like, safest thing to be. Like, yeah, because it is the safest thing to be right now, especially if you want to go around shooting people point blank.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's switch gears one more time. We'll come back to Jezebel's momentarily. Let's talk about Serena Joy and Commander Wharton. Now, Serena is having a conversation first with Aunt Lydia about Lydia's concerns with the handmaids. And it really bothered me that Serena just kind of laughed and scoffed at the whole idea that Aunt Lydia actually believed that the handmaids would be rewarded for their services, right? And
I mean, we all did.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when Lydia says that she was promised that the girls would be respected members of society, Serena's just like, okay, yeah, for sure. Like, that was the plan entirely. So they're going back and forth about blame, if you will. And they ultimately agree that they both need to accept some kind of responsibility for the suffering of the handmaids, right? Still not enough for me, people. Not enough. No. But Serena comes up with an interesting solution for the handmaids that involve them coming to New Bethlehem. And hopefully that Lydia will feel better about the whole situation. She suggests opening a fertility center in New Bethlehem where the retired girls, if you will, can work as attendants. And Lydia's like, I love this idea. This is a divine calling.
It sounds nice. Doesn't mean it will be.
I mean, can we just call it for what it is? It's like, okay, these girls are now all going to be housed at the facility. They're going to have like their own rooms. And the men are just going to come in here and have their way until they're impregnated. Fertility center, people in New Bethlehem. That's how it's going to go. Calling it now.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would it be?
Literally a baby farm. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
The same thing's going to happen, except without the freaky ass ritual once a month. It's just going to happen.
Seriously. It's going to happen more frequently, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And by multiple men, commanders, whatever.
Well, the thing about that is then it could be the men could get dodgy about like who actually is the father if they do get pregnant.
Yep.
And yeah, they could do fertility testing and stuff like that, but I feel like that would cause a lot more drama. I feel like it's more just like one person's going to be assigned at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And after a few tries, if nothing happens, then you go on to the next one. I don't think it's going to be immediately, multiple people immediately.
Yeah.
Because
well, then things
like that.
Yeah. Well, things turn a tad bit awkward between the two women when Serena is brought a large bouquet of flowers, bought by none other than Commander Wharton himself. And he is wanting to see Serena one more time before he heads back to DC. Lydia offers her 2 cents, although they weren't necessarily welcomed or wanted, I guess is the term I'm going for. She quotes Pride and Prejudice. What did you think about that? To basically say the commander is quite the catch.
A little ironic.
Okay.
Like, of all the things you could have quoted,
I know.
I just didn't think that was whatever. I also just didn't really like that they're having very serious discussion and about how much, like, on Lydia. I felt like it was annoying that they were having this discussion and Serena says, oh, they could have this work in the fertility center or whatever. And after Lydia says, oh, that would be a divine calling. Okay, then end of that discussion. Now let's talk about boys. And it felt really weird. I'm like,
I think it felt forced.
Yeah, it felt forced. And Lydia, how much do you really care about this? If that is like just one solid little band-aid, again, like, it's not even just with her, it's also with Rita. Like, ask more questions.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Serena, of course, is going to meet with the commander before he returns to DC. He doesn't take her anywhere that you would think he would normally take her, but to show her plans about a children's library where boys and girls are going to be able to safely read in the reformed Gilead. Now, this is curious because of the fact that he seems very reluctant to any of this new Bethlehem sort of plan, right? And he shows her what the name of the facility would be. And it would say Serena Joy and Gabriel Wharton Library. To which he promptly gets down on one knee and asks her to marry him. Were we surprised at all that she accepted? Now, before she accepted, she did say, I'm going to continue writing. And he's like, I wouldn't want it any other way, basically. That she is going to focus on her calling of God to change the country. And he goes, let's change it together. Slides the ring on her finger, kisses her hands, and then they actually have their first official kiss. Amber, is this going to be a bait and switch situation between these two?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just don't think that. Yeah, he's saying all of these nice things, but you got to put your money where your mouth is, dude. And he hasn't done that. So, like, Serena, you idiot. You haven't even known him that long. Like, you can't.
Exactly.
Just because he said he wanted to dance with you, like, what, 2-3 years ago?
Right.
That doesn't.
And agreed.
He's like. Yeah.
I was just going to say, and agreed that he would lovingly, willingly take care of another man's baby. Like, that's what every single mom wants to hear, obviously, that their child is going to be loved by a person who's not their parent, right? I mean, yeah, says all the right things. Does he mean it, though?
No, he's playing her. It's like,
yeah.
I feel like she's so much more shrewd than this. I don't think so. I'm surprised that she is falling for that.
I agree.
Unless she is literally just playing it right back. Like, hey, this is the safest route for me right now. I would become suspect if I said no. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But she also did seem to kind of be encouraging it too. It didn't seem just her accepting these advances and just going along with it.
Yeah, because how well did that pan out for her with her first husband, whom she helped build this country? She gave up her writing and gave up who she is as a person so that her husband could be in control. Well, this man is a high commander who is in control. Is he willing to let his new wife have equal status, if not more?
No. And then what is he doing in DC that he has to go, like, he has to? Because, like he was saying, like, that's not negotiable. He's still going to be going back and forth to DC. When, if I feel like he would just move up there anyway, but he was very
Maybe
much
that's
just
just
like,
where that.
no, we'll split it. No, we'll do it. Like, he's literally like doing,
Yeah,
what is he doing? What is, Rose is
I
heavily
think
pregnant, and why is he taking her to DC?
I think that's just where like perhaps all the high commanders reside. You know, it's the symbolism of the nation's capital having been overthrown by this coup, and their stronghold is now at the base of the former United States of America's capital. Like that if that's not like showing your hand or showing your strong hand, I don't know what that is.
I mean, fine, but also, like, why is he taking? This is kind of getting off of the Serena aspect of it. Why is he taking
Sure.
Rose there? She's heavily pregnant, and she's constantly tired. We haven't seen her at all, so it's like,
Hardly.
why?
Yeah.
Why are you taking her when pregnancy is such a risky thing here in Gilead in this
Yeah.
universe?
Yeah.
Why are you taking her while she's heavily pregnant? And he's implying that he's also going to be doing these trips to DC with her after the baby's born.
Don't know.
So, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't.
Very sus.
All of it is too sus. I can't.
Very
Other
sus.
than her just agreeing with it, she doesn't
Yeah.
seem to just be playing, unless she's just doing master class in acting. I don't. But I don't think that Serena's a good. Like,
No.
obviously, the actress playing Serena is a good actress.
Oh yeah, phenomenal.
I don't think the character Serena is a good actress.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
I
Yes.
don't. I think she's genuinely flattered and charmed by this guy. I don't. I would be
I
really surprised.
I think she has let down her defenses and her mind has become very fogged by the pretty little
Yeah.
things and the gestures and all that, and she's going to fall right back into the trap that she set herself up for all those years ago
Yeah.
when Gilead overthrew the United States. And rightfully so. She set herself up in that way, and she
Yeah.
deserves the consequences that are her actions. So let's get back to June and Moira, who are still in Jezebel's. They have met with Janine, and June has offered to Janine, hey, come with us. We'll get you out right here, right now. And Moira's like, what the hell? What the hell are you thinking? That's going to jeopardize this whole plan. They're going to go on lockdown. Like
Which I
this was
agree
not.
with. Yeah.
I agree. It was completely valid. But Janine means so much to June that June is going to do whatever it takes in order to save her friend. Understood. Equally valid. And that's when the big blow up happens between these two best friends. That
Talking about their
Moira's
traumas.
talking about their traumas, talking about like I'm not allowed to have PTSD. From where I stood as a Jezebel, you being a handmaid looked freaking great because you were only getting raped once a month and I was getting raped almost nightly. But I mean, they're just these comparisons, and I'm like, are we really doing this right now? Like, is this the time and
Worst
place
to
to
do
have
this.
worst time and place to have this conversation? And justifiably so, because enter bald guardian who calls out them for, what are you doing in here? Oh, we're just no, 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 no. No. Don't hide those pretty faces, because now Martha's wear these scarves around their faces to, I guess, prevent them from speaking to one another. Good job, Gilead.
No,
But
it was actually so they weren't a temptation. They say that.
also that they weren't a temptation. Yes, you're right. You're correct. My bad. Good job, Gilead. So the Guardian is basically circling them like a vulture would. He notices the letters that Janine left behind for the women to take back to Mayday. They're letters that were written from the Jezebel girls for their families and things like that. The Guardian takes them, puts them in the vault, in the rooms. Sorry, room safe. Which, by the way, there was no code, so I don't understand how they're not able to get back into that safe. But whatever, that's beside the point. Violence ensues because the Guardian is going to have his way with Moira. Poor Moira. Of course, it would be Moira first because of her character, her character hasn't had any trauma whatsoever. Yeah. But June is there. June is going to attempt to save her friend in a very pitiful way, I will say. Her wrapping her hand around the telephone cord and then not actually gripping said telephone to whack the guardian upside his head after Moira is able to kind of like push him off of her and what have you. Very, very, very bad. But they are able to bring down this guardian, beat the snot out of him. And Moira actually is the one who does it. She uses that same telephone cord to strangle that guardian to death. And
honestly,
it's like, cool.
My first thought was just good for you.
Okay, mine too. There's something wrong with this, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
but Moira obviously has committed another crime, right? She back in Gilead. And they've got to leave. They've got to leave quick because obviously once this guardian is deemed missing, this whole place is going to go on lockdown, but they can't leave the body, right? They got to get rid of the body. They throw him in the laundry cart, trying to be all stealth-like, what have you. And Luke is, he's back with Mayday Commander to pick up the girls in that delivery truck. They get stopped by the guardian who's there. Luke, not the best fast talker. Not at all whatsoever.
No.
No.
Dude, and not a good liar or he's just not playing along with it very well. And it's very obvious. June was trying to tell you. And also, I did think it was a little weird that the Mayday, we're going to call her Madam Mayday because I just did not remember her name.
I don't remember her name either.
With how Gilead is towards women, I'm kind of surprised that she was the one partnered with him. It could have just been literally any other random dude. It was not really safe for her to go.
No. Although the juxtaposition of having a woman in charge of this rebellion group is fitting. So therefore,
I agree. No, I agree. Her being the head of it, that's fine. I'm saying for this mission,
right?
Her being Gilead on that truck is sus.
Yes,
to Gilead sus. People.
Very sus. And the Guardian, obviously not that quick-witted either to put two and two together that way. So Luke gets his face shoved in by that Guardian, and in the meanwhile, June and Moira are trying to get rid of the corpse. They head to the, what do you call it? Furnace, I guess you could say. And
I thought it was like a heating furnace or something.
Like heating furnace of some kind. Yeah, so that's where they dispose of the body, and they hear the Guardians on the walkie-talkie basically saying, "Hey, so and so is unaccounted for. Let's put this place on lockdown." Now we're really limiting the exit strategy for June and Moira because they see that what's happening with Luke, and they're leaving in that truck, so they have to figure out a way to get out of there. Lo and behold, Janine had also kind of given them a little tip about how the commanders get in and out of Jezebel's. There's like a garage. It's, secluded and what have you. So somehow they're able to make it to the garage, as you do. And that's when June spots Lawrence leaving Jezebel's. And she is going to totally confront him in front of his car. And he literally can't believe it that she's there. And she actually asks him for help. Like, think of all the things that this woman has done. He has tried to negotiate with her so many times. And then when she dropped the bomb about his wife and how she watched Eleanor die, didn't do a thing. She told him the truth that Eleanor despised him, blah, blah, blah. And you just saw something break in that man's spirit when June said that. So it's like the audacity of her to say, we need to get out of here. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
They're not going to the border.
Yeah.
They're not going to the border.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's, he is reluctant to say, get in, opens the car trunk, They squeeze inside. She looks up at him and says, "Can you get us across the?" And they're cut off before she can finish the sentence because he slams the trunk door in her face. And that's how the episode concludes.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to the border.
I would agree. I'm also just curious as to where in the world he would take her or them that wouldn't result in their being on the wall. You know what I mean?
No, I think they would. I don't. I think he would try hiding them in New Bethlehem. And honestly, Commander Warden and Rose are in DC. Nick's house is empty at the moment.
Okay.
I think he could hide them there.
Interesting.
But I don't think so. Like he could, doesn't mean he would. I
just wonder, given, because I've seen the trailer for the whole season, right? And there's tidbits that show June donning the Handmaid's outfit once again. No sign of Moira in the same attire, which I'm not sure if she sticks around with June or not, or if June is going to be the only one to reside in Gilead, to hide in plain sight, basically, right? I'm curious if, of course, in the next episodes to come, if June has just made the decision to not return to her family, right? She's back. She's going to do what she does best, and that's fuck shit up in Gilead. Yeah, I'm concerned. Genuinely concerned. Amber, was there anything else from this episode that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about? And or what are your overall thoughts on the episode, Janine, in comparison to Promotion?
I don't know. And again, like I really do enjoy seeing what people's thoughts are and theories are. And a lot of people are saying because Lawrence, the reason he was leaving is because he just saw that these people don't really like him. He does not have as much freedom or power as he thought he did. And they want him on the wall. Mm-hmm. So, like, some people are thinking because of that and because of his growing attachment to Angela and his apparent sympathy for Janine, that he's going to officially turn tide and help them all. But I don't think, how would you control the Naomi of that? Like, if you were to keep them at your place, you can't keep Naomi quiet. So it's like, no one can keep Naomi quiet. I
feel like she'll turn on him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would. She 100,000% would, because she keeps like making little comments like, hey, they have expectations for you. Mm-hmm. And her comments too, because like he turned down her advances, and she says like they get their power from their virility. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you're not doing anything, that doesn't show that you're really empowered, dude. Like, it's
a bit concerning.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a little bit. I don't really think he is. I never thought he would be before a wild card, but I think he's kind of slowly turning into one, because we don't really know what he would do. Because again, like, he has personal beef with June.
He does.
Like, this is all happening. Like, he just found out that they want him killed. He's getting close with Janine. He's getting close with Angela. Like, all of these things are getting put in place. Mm-hmm. How can this be an advantage to him? And he's a smart dude. He's survived this long. He's a very clever guy. Yeah. I have no idea what he would be doing.
Are we starting to see the downfall of Lawrence? Are we potentially going to see him maybe actually try to form an exit strategy for himself?
Maybe. And whether he takes Janine, Angela, maybe even Moira with him. Honestly, his beef is with just mainly June, so he could just say, like, fuck you. And, like, that's why it's only her that's why we only see her. We don't see Moira. Like, that could be why.
Yeah,
but we also know that June has Nick, so he's like, even if he does like leave her there, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. But
and I wonder too.
A possibility.
I wonder too if Nick is still in Lawrence's corner or not. Like, do they still have each other's back or not? Because Nick did take a swing at Lawrence, thinking that he had set up the stunt of running her over, trying to kill her in Canada, which I don't think we even did get a confirmation as to who may have set that up, or if that was a setup at all by the commanders, because it did linger. It lingered on Commander Mackenzie's face for a moment. So perhaps maybe he had something to do with it. Maybe that's also why Wharton goes back and forth with DC so frequently, because at this point, Gilead in the Boston area can't handle June anymore. So they're taking matters into their own hands. Who knows? Because June is pretty much public enemy number one for Gilead.
Yeah, you would think that more people, like more of the Guardians, would get like a picture of her and be like, hey, look out for this chick. Because the Martha's faces are covered, but not their entire face. It's just
and she has very distinct eyes.
Very distinct features in general. So it's like,
yes,
come on. Like if those people, it's shocking to me that she can still keep breaking into Gilead and getting away with it and sneaking away with it. It's like, lady, like you said, she is public enemy number one. How do people not recognize her?
Well, and the idea that she keeps getting into Gilead and getting out of Gilead and no one says a word. Obviously, they as commanders don't want to acknowledge their faults. You know, their lack of security, their lack of preparedness, obviously. But anyway, I don't know.
It's just I don't know, man. And also, this made it now all of them are caught because, I mean, we obviously saw that Luke was getting the shit beat out of him. And Moira and her and June, they didn't get out. So it's kind of like, your plan just to set it up got messed up.
Yeah.
And
yep. And now with June and Moira potentially being stuck in Gilead, is Luke going to follow through with the plan after all in a week's time? Or is it going to be delayed? Or is it going to be
I thought he was just...
I don't know, but one can only presume.
Well, I mean, if that Guardian reports him, like, he could just be locked up.
That's true.
So he could be locked up, and who knows? Maybe he'll see Hannah.
That's
like
true. I doubt it, but true.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I don't obviously want him to be in Gilead. I would like him to be safe. As much as he's been frustrating me, I would like him to be safe. But like, honestly, I think just doing a couple of days in a Gilead jail actually might teach him a lesson in how he's been acting.
And be like, oh, wow, June was right.
Yeah, like, I obviously want him to be safe. I don't want him to, like, die or anything or be tortured. But, like, maybe he can understand, like, oh, wow, maybe this lady has a point. And
just a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We shall find out. So that will wrap up today's podcast review of episodes 4 and 5 of The Handmaid's Tale final season. Amber and I will be back in a couple of weeks to discuss the next 2 episodes, which would be episodes 6 and 7. I am very much looking forward to what is going to happen. It looks like I'm going to say a huge wedding is going to be underway. I can only imagine what's going to happen. And if June is still in Gilead and dons the Handmaid's uniform once again, how much shit is she going to fuck up?
It is the complete opposite meaning of a shotgun wedding. It's a wedding reason. Yeah, stuff is going to go down at that wedding. It's not going to be perfect.
I don't even think the wedding's going to happen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Let's hope. That being said,
I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
no, you're not the only one. Amber, you have a wonderful YouTube channel. Tell the audience all about it.
My channel is All of Amber's Wands. It is a study of wands and wand lore in the wizarding world. So each video I do a in-depth analysis of the wands in both Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, everything in between. And I go into the cultural, symbolic, and historical meaning of the woods, the cores, all that shebang. And currently, a lot of my episodes have been focusing on the Epic Universe wands. So over on my TikTok and my YouTube, I've been posting a lot about those because we have a bunch of new wands because we have a new wand shop, a new wand maker in Epic Universe. So I have a lot of videos about that. And I've been keeping as up to date as I possibly can. And yeah, that's what I do. So it's definitely very fun. So if you have an interest in Harry Potter or even not just Harry Potter, but wands in general, I'm your gal.
Yes. So show Amber some love. Go follow her YouTube channel and her Instagram. Amber, I'm going to need to get your TikTok link because I don't have that here. Shame on me. But
it's because you don't have a TikTok, babe.
And I will never get a TikTok.
I have so many things that I would just love to show you. I'm not kidding. I have a folder.
I'm sure you do.
Of things that, like, if in the slim chance, like, on your deathbed, you decide to get it, I'm like, boom, boom, boom.
Nope. Sorry.
Honestly,
it'll show up on Instagram.
In like 5 years, and I've contemplated honestly just begging you just to get one, just to see my videos, and you don't have to put notifications on. You don't have to follow anyone except me. Like, it'll just be only for me to send you these videos, and that's it.
Well, given the state of things and who is going to own TikTok, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So, no. Sorry. But I did say that the things on TikTok will show up on Instagram eventually. So be sure to also follow Amber over on Instagram. Her handle can be seen here on the screen. And if you're listening rather on our audio podcast, follow All of Amber's Wands on her Instagram at allofambers.wands. Amber, thank you so much for joining me today to discuss the latest episodes of The Handmaid's Tale. Like I said, we will be back in a couple weeks to discuss the next two. We hope you will join us. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Also hit the like button if you've enjoyed our podcast review, as well as The Handmaid's Tale. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you know the next time we go live. We will be covering The Last of Us. Y'all, that last episode fucked me up real bad. Real bad. Amber, I don't think you watched The Last of Us, or if you do, you do. Okay. Yeah, that episode fucked me up. I was like, I'm done.
I know.
I'm not watching it anymore, but I am going to watch it. So that being
I haven't watched the new season, but I got spoiled by that because I actually, if anyone's listening at this point and they know anything about me, I love spoilers.
Yeah,
a spoiler will never stop me from enjoying something if it's good.
Nah, fair enough.
If it's good enough, it will never stop me from enjoying it. And my friend, she was just like, "Oh, do you watch The Last of Us?" And I'm like, "I do, but I haven't watched the new season." And she's like, "Well, I don't want to ruin it for you." And she's like, "I know you don't care about spoilers, but I refuse." And I'm like, "I already know what happens." And so she's just like, "Why?" Like, I can't control it, guys. I don't mind spoilers, so I know what happens.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen the newest season yet.
That's fine.
But I mourn for you.
Thank you. It's very, very hurtful. But that being said, we are covering The Last of Us. We're continuing our cover for The Handmaid's Tale, and we will be covering part 1. I say part 1 and part 2, but the Netflix series You, which just wrapped up its entire series. My God, people, I'm ready. I'm so ready to talk about it. And we also have coming your way the Thunderbolts movie review, and we will be bringing Amber back to also discuss Doctor Who. We know she loves Doctor Who. The text messages, she's like, "Oh my God." So very excited to.
You need to watch them.
I know I need to watch it. I'm sorry. bad Brittany. Bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, be sure to join us. Follow all of our social media, which is in the links down below. And also, if you haven't done so already, check out our audio podcast available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating. So, Amber, thank you once again for joining me. Praise be that you're here with me.
Under his fucking eye.
Under his
I'll bring it back.
eye. Thank you. Yes. We will see y'all next time for The Handmaid's Tale. Under his fucking eye.